Welcome to Soccer as We Like It, the Man United directed channel for United and football fans, to the biggest and best fan channel in the United States. We are talking the Marcus Rashford debacle. We have polls that were sent out to America, to to UK and Africa, and I will reveal these results to you later. Joining me today on this heated debate is the one and only, the singing director, Cleveland and
Denver.
Denver. I said Cleveland. Denver and Houston Red Army. The one and only Louis. Louis, how are you, mate?
I'm good, brother. I've never been to Cleveland. I would like to check it out though one of these days.
Right. How far is Cleveland to Denver? Is it far?
It's what's Ohio, so yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
yeah, it's
it's,
far.
it's not nearby.
Right. So, as you know, it's on everywhere on the news. Marcus Rashford. It started with him being booed after the Man United's greatest escape against Coventry on Sunday, where United were a VAR away from being given the biggest upset in FA Cup football history, from a 3-0 up to lose 4-3. But, it was so much. Normally, you have little pockets of fans not happy with people's performance, but this was a whole section literally like booing him, and it's just gone left. He's had a poor season. We've had so many people who say, "Oh, he deserves that he's accepted to have a poor season." I've never heard that malarkey bullshit before. How do you accept a player to be poor because he gave you 30 last season? What Ronaldo and Keane always said: what we did last week has been accounted for. What we do this week for this match, when we cross the line, is a new game. We can't be judged on what we did last week. When we start to get that mentality, we can't keep saying, "Oh, he gave us 30 last season." It's not like he didn't get paid. He got paid, but it wasn't like free job. You see, there's that
He
sell
picked up the
pitch.
check. He cashed
That
the check.
there's that sell pitch. You're only as good as your last sales.
Yeah.
You've got to keep proving yourself. So Louis, as it stands, we're gonna quickly talk about that tweet that came out that really brought this whole thing and everything to the forefront. Let me see if I can pull this tweet up. Can you see it?
Yep.
Right. See, that tweet, "I appreciate your support. Its abuse has been on for months. Enough is enough." This is Marcus Rashford responding back to somebody who tweeted something earlier, that Marcus Rashford uh, is being treated absolutely disgusting. It's cruel. It's abuse. So, where do you stand on the difference between criticism and abuse? Is he being abused? Is the first thing I'm going to ask you, mate.
Yeah, and that's really what it boils down to, isn't it? And I think that's where the backlash comes from when you retweet something like this. First of all, this at United Paradigm, this channel is, or this Twitter profile is,
Mm,
they've gone viral before. They've had, some controversial tweets and things like
mm,
this in the
mm,
past,
mm.
about different players and different situations.
Right.
But it's really it's a meme profile, right? It's
Yeah.
not. I
That's what
don't
I
believe.
thought.
Yeah, I don't believe it's not run by anyone who is in the public space, right?
Exactly.
Nobody's exactly like sure who that person is, or if it's a team, or whatever it is. It's not necessarily a legitimate fan page or anything like this. So um, the tweets that have come out from that page have been inconsistent, or they've gone after certain players, they've praised players and then criticized the same players. It's just it's clickbait is really what it is. So for
Right.
Marcus Rashford to retweet that page, a lot of people were like, what are you retweeting this clickbait for? And where I think the backlash really comes from is players like Marcus Rashford have been abused in the past, racially abused, made fun of for his charity work and all these kinds
For
of
for
things
for
that he's
for
done.
the penalty mystery in
Yeah,
the
yeah, like
Euros.
those kind of moments. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like players get abused, and especially players of color. This kind of stuff happens all the time. But when he's actually tweeting about it, when he's actually talking about abuse, he's not talking about abuse. He's talking about criticism. And don't get me wrong, sometimes criticism definitely can go too far.
Right.
It can go from, get out my club all the way to, talking about somebody's mother and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, that's
we
abuse.
know what we
Say
know what banter
F
is.
off Rashford, F
Yeah,
off Trashford. That's abuse. But when
right.
you're saying
I don't even know if
this
trash.
guy's inconsistent, he's off
Yeah.
form.
And that's really what it is. It's like you know when you have people like Vinny Jr. who are trying to like speak out about actual
Exactly. That's abuse.
yeah,
What he's suffering in Spain from the crowd.
yeah, it looks like you're trying to overshadow or one up, someone's actual problem because you have been out of form. You're not scoring goals, at least not consistently. You're not scoring in big moments. You're having some really good performances, and then you're following it up with 2, 3, 4 weeks of bad performances before you have another good performance again. You had a 30 goal season where you're allotted by the club, you're the Manchester United boy, you're the local boy, you're the local hero. And I think for a lot of people what this looks like is, oh, I'm the Man United poster child, I can do no wrong. Like if you're saying that I'm doing bad, then you're against me or you're against the club. And it's very diva-ish. It's very, you know what I mean?
Right,
It's
right.
superstar. It's, there's no humility. It seems like, this is a person that has no integrity, and that people are, they're looking for reasons to kind of fall out as a fan for Marcus Rashford,
Right.
because the performances have not been good. And, you know, there was a time when players in the club, including Marcus Rashford, would even just send out a tweet like they would have the worst performance ever. It looked like they didn't try, or they gave up after a certain time and their heads drop, and then they always say the same tweet where it's like, sorry, we're gonna do better next
We go
time.
again.
It's blah 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 blah. And he's not even capable of doing that anymore. He's basically in towards the it. It appears that he's in this headspace or this position where he's like, whatever, a loss is a loss. I'm on 300K a week. No big deal. If you're talking shit about me, you don't know what you're talking about. So I see how it's really difficult for a lot of Manchester United fans. I will say on the flip side, in Marcus Rashford's defense, from a young age at the club, he was held up as, supposed to be the poster child of Man United, the academy star, these kinds of things. He did well for a couple of seasons. He was in the England squad. It looked like everything was on the up and up. Bad transfers, bad players playing around him, poor management at the top, Cristiano Ronaldo, saga, manager after manager after manager. So yeah, maybe he is a little bit fed up, and maybe he has a right to be pissed off too.
Right.
And maybe he, from Marcus Rashford's perspective, he's like, how can you guys say these things about me when I've been here since I was a literal child and I've given everything that I could for the club? I totally understand that perspective as well. Ultimately, I think there's only two solutions. Either he, fully recommits to the club, recommits to being part of this Ineos/Ten Hag rebuild and trying to re-kickstart his career, or what I think is probably more reasonable and probably more expected is that he leaves the club.
Hmm.
I think, and it's not, I want him out the club because I think he's a bad person or anything like this. It's not that. I just think that for his soccer career, if he's going to win anything, if he's going to get better, if he's going to be scoring more goals, I think he has to do it somewhere else where he can be happy. I think there's been so much drama over the last decade, and he's been a part of all of it. So, yeah, very, very difficult position for him right now.
Right. So as it stands, as we know, like you mentioned earlier, the poster child, he was given that mantle, but you see, there's that thin line between criticism and abuse. Beckham 1998 World Cup, that was abuse.
Yeah.
They literally pounded him to dry. when Ronaldo and Rooney went for that thing between Portugal and England, I think it was '06 Euros, when Rooney got sent off. Ronaldo was booed and abused, go back to Portugal, blah, blah, blah. But it's that mental toughness. That wasn't criticism, that was abuse. The mental toughness to get back for that. And like, you keep abusing. And Ronaldo said every time they booed him, he made sure he scored to shove it down their throats. But everyone is not having that wired toughness. Some people thrive on booing. Some people can't handle the booing. Oh no. I remember that was an era where there was no social media compared to now. Now everything is all the dirty linen is all hanging out. So
Yeah,
as it stands now with Marcus Rashford, he has been given the mantle as the poster child. He's gone through more. He went through Louis van Gaal, Mourinho, Ragnick, Ole. Now this 5 managers. Has he really improved? Has he fulfilled his potential that we all saw, or was that just a smoking screen of mirrors? There was one time he was being compared to Mbappe. Mbappe is consistent. Every season you're getting 25, 30. You could tell me, oh, it's in a farmers league. Farmer leagues or not, whoever they put in front of you, you still destroy them. Against Coventry, against non-league side. So it's got nothing to do with what is all up in the head. We have supported Marcus Rashford. We have been his biggest cheerleaders all these years. But can we honestly say, if we are honest to ourselves as United fans, has he really, really improved and got to that potential? He's now 26. He's no more a kid anymore. Has he fulfilled that potential that we all expected? Or is this it? Is that the glass ceiling?
uh, I don't think so. But I think it goes back to what I was saying. I think the most likely scenario where he does reach his full potential, where he gets back into the England squad, is to play elsewhere. I think that I think that we're currently this season in the worst Manchester United side we've had in the last 10 years. Not because all the players are terrible, but all of our best players have not been playing.
No.
All of our best players have been injured. He is a first teamer who is consistently fit and is consistently able to start. And every manager does pick him. Every manager that we've had has picked him. It's not that he's a bad soccer player or these things. I think it really just comes down to what the club has been and what his experience has been over the last 10 years. It's you mentioned there, like, the old days, they didn't necessarily have the social media and these kinds of things. So there is a lot of abuse towards soccer players of color, a lot of racial abuse.
Yeah, you have those keyboard monsters on the prowl.
Yeah, and online, of course, it's going to be way worse than what we might be exposed to. We might not see all of the DMs that he sees, all the comments that he might see, all the videos about him that he might see. I think if you're, and again, I'm not famous, I don't know, but I think if you are a famous person, I think it's I hear a lot of famous people say it's a very smart thing to get off of social media, to have someone else manage your social media, because there is a lot of horrible stuff on there. And I can imagine it makes you feel really, really bad about yourself. That being said, in this club, no, he hasn't reached his potential, or he definitely hasn't reached the potential that we set him up for. And maybe that's on us as fans and as the club. I think maybe they held him up on a pedestal too early, during
Right.
the Mourinho.
Yeah, that word, held him up at a pedestal too early, saying he's going to be this, because like you said, that's extra pressure. Not everyone, coming from the academy, I think it has an advantage and disadvantage. Coming from the academy, you're seen as a local born, you're local, you're seen as our own. But at the same time, you're seen to be leading, you're supposed to be like a leader, a pallbearer for the team that, okay, I left the academy, this is where I'm. So it's like every academy is looking at you as in, oh, he made it, I can make it. At the same time, it ought to also be
Yeah,
a
I don't.
albatross around a player's neck, as in, I cannot live up to that expectation.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a disadvantage. I think it's definitely a disadvantage in this instance because if if a club has consistency within the academy, consistency within the management, consistency within the level of players that are playing around you. Over the last decade, the players around Rashford have gotten worse. You know, from Rooney gone to the Zlatans gone, the Ronaldos that
Marshall,
top players that you're exposed to very briefly. Then something happens. The Di Marias,
Cavani,
the Alexis Sanchez, the Cavani's, the like these moments where like you're in an environment where you can play with and learn from superstars, but then they're not there the following season. I think it drastically changes how you play. You know, if you've gone through 7 managers, including interims, over the course of your professional career, there's questions around the ownership, there's questions around the CEOs and the transfer team and the medical team, and I think there's something to be said about how long he stuck it out and how he's tried to make this work and how he has been loyal to the club. But from a fan perspective, the on-field performance has suffered, especially this year and last year. It's been a couple seasons since the 30-goal season. Um, he's not competing for a place in the England squad consistently. He's not he's not consistently scoring goals for us, especially in big games. A game like Coventry, yeah, I kind of did expect him to score, or at least expect him to get you know plenty of good chances, and he really didn't. I think the best moments came from Garnacho. Delo had one like right at the beginning of the game. There was a well worked. Bruno, I thought, had a couple of really good chances, and ultimately, we should have put that game away in second half. Or first half, Garnacho comes off, Rashford doesn't. It's weird for some people. Maybe there was a knock or something that Ten Hag knew about, and he was trying to protect him. But 3-0 up, we should be able to put that game away, no matter who
right?
you put on there, especially if you still have a Marcus Rashford on the field. This is a person, like you said, he's not a kid anymore. He should be entering or have entered somewhat of a leadership role within the locker room. Maybe not a captaincy, but at least, if you're 3-1 and you give up a goal, you should be able to say, hey, knock that
No,
crap out. No more of that. That's unacceptable. Like, we got to see this game out. But it didn't look that way. It didn't appear that way. It appeared that a lot of the senior players dropped heads. It seemed like the younger players kept us afloat, and saw us through to the PKs. And look, man, they don't ask how, they ask how many, right? So you get
oh
over the
yeah,
line. We into the final, third final in 2 years under Ten Hag. Massive achievement, especially considering where we are in the league, considering our performances, considering our injury crisis, and it is a crisis. Um, but this is where it's really hard for us to kind of or why the Marcus Rashford's fan base is so split between like, yeah, he's given up, he's down tools, he's this, he's that, versus he's given everything and he's exhausted, and he needs help. Which I
well,
I I think both can be equally true, honestly.
right. there was something you mentioned just now. You said he's giving up, he needs help. But through the season, from what we've seen, he's not given a lot because we've not seen much from him.
Yeah.
So he can't be exhausted. You get tired when you're the one doing everything. That season, Ronaldo scored 24 goals. You
I
take those
don't, I
goals.
don't, yeah, I don't necessarily mean physically tired. I think he's
Okay.
tired of the club and the
Right,
drama
right,
and
right, right.
and
So
the
okay,
problem.
that makes sense. So a
Yeah, I
poll
think
was
he's
sent
checked
out.
out, definitely.
I sent a poll out on WhatsApp,
Mhm.
and I asked three questions. Do we need to should Marco Rashford be sold as he moved on? Was this abuse, or should he just what's the third one? The third one was okay. So the first one was, should United move him on? Second was, is he being abused? And the other one was, does he need to man up, knuckle down, and try to find his way through this and stop accepting this as abuse instead of just criticism because of the expectation? The polls came out 60% said United need to move him on. 10% that he 10% said he needs to just knuckle down, and 20% said it's abuse.
Yeah.
For 60% to say he needs to move on, it just shows people just got into the point like, you know what? His body language just shows he can't be asked. His body
Yeah.
language shows he doesn't want to be here. Because this was the same thing we said about Martial, right? What's the difference? Apart from the passports.
I think look, if he was in a position, or if he could, knuckle down, turn his game around, and be a crucial part of the rebuild of Manchester United, he could walk away a club legend. Um, I really believe that. However, that again, I believe is probably the most unlikely scenario.
Right.
Because if you look across football, not just Manchester United, but the modern day footballer, you don't have these heroes anymore.
Hmm.
Not like that. You don't,
Hmm.
Ronaldo's era, Messi's era, is coming to an end.
Oh yeah.
The legends of the Cantonas and the Keens and you know, uh,
Yeah.
uh, and the Beckhams and the Van Nistelrooys, and the Raúls and the Figos, and
Mm.
those types of absolute superstars, those
Mm.
types of players that can come into a game and impact it from
That's right.
at any point in the game. I don't think those players are, if they're not a dying breed, they're extinct. I mean, it's so rare to see that type of player anymore. I don't know if he's up for that. From what it appears to be is like this, you know, uh, going back to what you said, there is abuse, 100%. There is abuse, but criticism is not abuse, right? So
So we've defined that the difference between criticism and abuse.
yes, I definitely believe there is abuse. I think that what he's been talking about lately is not abuse, it's criticism. And the fact that he's trying to say that that's abuse tells me that he is not in the mental capacity, the toughness capacity to come back and be that player and be
Right.
that hero.
Right.
Um, we don't have to, and I'm not saying like we don't have to win leagues and win Champions League, and he doesn't have to get the golden boot or get the Ballon d'Or. That's not what I'm saying. But if he can consistently become a player for us, consistently score goals, 18, 19 goals a season, start bagging assists, start being a playmaker instead of the flashy, speed, physical kind of player. If he can transform himself into a team player and to a player that
But
lives
does
for the
he
team.
have the strength to do that
That's what
anymore?
I'm saying. I don't believe he does. But if he did do that, he would be a club hero, because that is exactly what the rebuild needs. For these young players to come through, for new players to come in and be successful and get Manchester United back to that place in 3, 4, 5 years' time, however long it takes. You still need players like that, experienced players that put the club first. And I don't think he's been in a position where he's never been into a position where he's had to be that player. I think he's consistently been told he was a top player even when he wasn't, and that can be equally as damaging.
Right, you're very right.
And the abuse doesn't help. The abuse doesn't motivate. Like, you know what I mean? And again, I feel like it's mostly online abuse, like people singing like at the game, like trying to get him off because he had a bad performance. Like, dude, homie, you had a bad performance. Not only are you an adult, you're a professional. Like, this is going to happen. You know, and again, and it probably seems like it's been happening a lot more lately, but that's because look at the results we've had over the last, 5 years. And you've been a part of all of that. And now you're the highest paid player at the club, second highest paid player.
Second high behind Sancho.
Second highest spot. Jesus Christ, man. And let that tell you where he and where we are as a club. Like, let that tell you where we're at. Like, that's a
funny thing.
He's between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. The funny thing,
I
Sancho. Yeah, go on.
The easiest way for him to salvage his career is to leave. The hardest way to salvage it and become a hero is to be that type of player that you're talking about.
Wow. So Sancho is United's highest player on 375 a week.
Jesus. I hate that.
Manchester City's highest paid player is De Bruyne, 360. He's won titles, Champions Leagues. Sancho's won nothing.
Did he have like a Deutsche Pokal somewhere in there, or I don't think he won a Bundes.
No.
No.
So you see, we are paying players who are not delivering, while the people who are delivering are getting paid less. I know it's the contract negotiation, but it's so sad. Whereby some people come to United and just it's like a retirement plan. You know what I mean? We go with the sentiments, the emotions. Oh, he came from the academy. He's a great lad, one of the boys. No, we need to cut all that one of the boys sentimental, emotional shit out of it altogether. You're either good enough or you're not good enough. If you're not good enough, on your bike, good night, have a lovely day, and a bag of chips while you're at it. But this is the thing. This is the thing right here. Most of the players we have are overrated, overinflated egos. The people that surround themselves tell them you are who you are, but you're literally not good. When you feel you are champagne in a tall glass, but you're actually warm piss in a plastic cup, it's a big difference. People don't understand. There's a big difference there.
I think that I was reading something where someone was trying to make the argument that this kind of started with Pogba, or at least around that era. And like, even looking at Paul Pogba, like with all of his problems, like I still don't even believe that whole fiasco was his fault. And I don't necessarily believe that this is Rashford's fault. This is a management problem.
This is if there's part of it, of course, yes.
And we're still dealing with the fallout of poor Glazer management. We're going to continue to deal with the fallout.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
And now somebody's going to be on there on the comments talking about, is he really blaming Rashford's performance on the Glazers? And in a way, I am, honestly. Look, it's about creating the best possible training environment, and we haven't done that.
No, we don't.
Kevin De Bruyne, like, yeah, he's won all these things. He has the best training environment ever
to thrive on.
Like, they spend so much money. They know the length of each blade of grass on the field. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everything is absolutely perfect, and the club runs like clockwork, and the training ground
they are a Ferrari in terms of training. We are a Ford Focus, but trying to think we are a Ferrari in terms of equipment wise. No, we are so far.
I remember, I think it was a Sunday show we did this was maybe like a month ago or so, when the conversation was about whether or not to keep Ten Hag, and I was
Yeah.
like, he's not just competing against City and Liverpool. He's competing against Carrington. He's competing against Old Trafford. He's competing against the Glazers. He's competing against
The
his
media.
transfer staff, the media, the medical staff. He's competing against all of these things because everything's dilapidated, everything's old, everything's everything's done on a budget, everything's done on penny pinching and cost cutting, and it's the same for the players. It is the same for Rashford. Rashford has had to deal with all of this crap and try to be a superstar at the same time. That's not easy. That's
No, it's not.
absolutely not easy. Now, if he is at the point where he's just fed up and he's over it, I don't blame him, but I will blame him if he stays and continues to drain 300 grand a week and not perform. That also is not acceptable. So if the problem is the abuse that you get, and he does get some abuse, criticism is not abuse, but he does get some abuse. If he's blaming the abuse and he's downing tools and he's tired of it, my man, do yourself a favor, do us a favor, and get on down the line. Like, it's time to move. And like, I honestly, I wouldn't blame him for that. Now, if he truly is, or let me rephrase, if he still has the love for Manchester in his heart and he really wants to help turn it around, then yeah, dude, you gotta Rocky for this, and you gotta beat the Russians, and you gotta train hitting the meat bag, because that's all we got. We don't have the fancy gym that the other boxer got. We got the meat on the hooks.
You got the butcher's freezer room.
Yeah, that's what we got. That's what we're competing with. Like, you can still compete, but just know that the tools are not here. So either you're gonna be that guy and not complain
Rocky
and go
Balboa.
do it, or you can be the guy who says I'm over it. And both are okay. Both are okay. But
Right.
I think, and I think that's also the problem with the fan base is I feel like what I'm expressing is a very nuanced view. I'm trying to see both sides of it, where that's social media. Social media doesn't do that. It's either Rashford out or Rashford in, Ten Hag out, or Rashford in, Scott McTominay out, or Maguire's our best goal scorer, get Rashford. Like, it's so polarizing, and it's really, really hard to navigate. And that also really, really hurts the club. It doesn't make the solutions come any easier or any
No, it
faster.
doesn't. No. We'll shift gears a bit. Eric Ten Hag, as we know, banned the Sun, the Mirror, and the Manchester Evening News reporters, which means you could come to the press conference, but you're not asking no questions.
Yeah, you can't ask anything.
So he was asked after the Coventry debacle. Don't you think this is embarrassing? It's not. He was able to say, I'm not happy. I don't like how it happened, but it is an achievement to get to Wembley and another final. I've took the time to go through some of his press conferences and realize sometimes his comprehension of what they're asking him and his responses back in English, sometimes the messages gets lost and can be tweaked to the benefit of clicks and reviews for these media. I know when he was in Holland, it was fluent Dutch, and he got his point, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because every journalist who goes into that, his editors told them, get something sensational. So we could publish, we could get clicks, and we could promote.
Yeah, no.
When Klopp or Pep or even Arteta do have a bad game, the press don't hound them like that. But United sells stories. They sell. They make big news. So the best way is to sometimes force the information out of the manager, either try to play on his intelligence or being mean about it. Because I remember one press conference, he already told one journalist, Ronaldo, we're not talking about it. Another journalist. And and Ronaldo. No. And Ronaldo. It's like they don't get it. It's like they can't take no for an answer. And sometimes when your back is against the wall, and these guys are like vultures, they would just keep coming for that info they want to sell the newspapers.
Yeah. When you say Coventry debacle, right? Like Ten Hag's right. That's not a debacle. If we lost, that's a debacle. We didn't lose. It wasn't pretty,
No.
and we made mistakes.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, like we controlled most of that game when we made the subs at 3-0 up. It shouldn't have been a problem. Like those are professionals. They should have saw that out. They should have saw that out. Shows where we are, shows where our depth is, shows where our injury crisis is. You know, that again, they don't ask how, they ask how many. A win is a win. We won. And yeah, I take the piss. Yeah, it's a League Two side. We should have done way better, but we made it through. So I can see how that's a headline for a week, 2 weeks. Sure, makes total sense. And yeah, at the pub, we're gonna hear the banter. That's part of it. But to batter the club, to batter Ten Hag every single day on social media, in the newspaper, in the press conference, like no, this shows how massive a club we still are, even when we're this bad.
Yeah.
Because it's reactionary. It's like you said, it's clickbait. You want to get a reaction. Either you're trying to get a sympathy reaction, or you're trying to get an anger reaction, or you're trying to get a laughing reaction. You're trying to pit
Do you
people
remember
against.
how it got so bad with Mourinho?
Yeah,
When
yeah,
Mourinho said, they asked him a question why United are struggling. He said, they told him this was the season he got fired. I remember that statement so well. He said, we're not doing so well, blah, blah, blah. United were literally really bad that season. That's when he got fired after the Liverpool game in December. And up to that point, he kept saying, they started to question his integrity as a
yeah,
manager like he does. He said, I've won 3 league titles.
yeah,
There is no other manager in this whole league who has won 3 league titles, which
yeah,
means I have won more than Pep and Klopp
yeah,
and 18 other teams.
yeah,
So then he got up and walked. He said, respect me, respect me. And
yeah.
I get it.
And that's really where and I'm gonna call out some of these guys like K, when they're talking about Ten Hag out, and Ten Hag doesn't know what he's talking about, and Ten Hag's a joke and all these kinds of things. Ajax to Champions League semifinals twice, final once. Eredivisie, multiple championships and cup titles, comes here, winningest record, winningest win ratio of any Manchester United manager. 3 finals in 2 years, 1 trophy in 2 years, 3rd place finish. These are not the results of someone who doesn't know what they're doing. These are not the results of someone who doesn't know football. Pep, Klopp, Arteta, Zidane, they've all said that guy knows football. They've all said Ten Hag is a fantastic coach, a phenomenal coach. They've all said it. Zlatan said it. It's known. It's known. And that's why, I've been such a staunch like Ten Hag in. Number one, because I've seen what he can do. I know what his philosophy has traditionally been. I know that guy's a good coach. I know this. But as well, I also know what it means to sack a manager and rotate again, like we've done for a decade. And that is a huge, huge mistake. Now, banning reporters from asking questions in press conferences, if you're not going to print the truth, or you're going to incite, or you're going to twist, or you're going to spin. No, we don't need you. Ten Hag doesn't need them at all to be successful. They
100%.
need access to the club, or they're fired. And look, I'm not saying that these reporters are bad people. This is what they're told to do. They told go in there, get a reaction, get a story, get some clickbait, and that's your job. That's not journalism.
No, it's not.
That's you're basically a TV producer at that point. Like you're just trying to make up content.
Yeah. Lazy journalism.
And Fergie kicked journalists out.
Yeah, he didn't speak to BBC for like what?
Yeah, I mean,
Forever.
this is something I think that this is not out of fear. I think this is out of necessity, and I think it's incredibly smart, and I think he should have done it a long time ago. Honestly, if I were him, I'd be like, why do we need any journalists? I said we have Manu TV. I'll go out. I'll do the press conference, and we'll just do it on Manu TV. And if they want it, then they can subscribe. We have, there's these guys are in a form of dying media, and the only way to keep it alive and to keep it producing and to keep it cranking out money is to not report facts or report genuine opinion or ideas. It's, can we rile shit up and get people in trouble? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's scary to think about the future, dystopian thoughts about dying journalism, and that we need journalism. I full-heartedly believe that. But when it comes to sports journalism, this isn't journalism. This is TikTok on paper. Like this is, you know what I mean? This is, that's all it is. It's just social media influencers. It's not true journalism. And so, good on Ten Hag. Good on Ten Hag. I think he should kick more people out.
Right. So United were able to beat Bournemouth on Wednesday on a midweek game. Sheffield United. They had a scare. Onana dropping a clanger. Dalot is left. You pass it to his right.
Yeah.
Then, United started the game well. I would like to start positively. They started the game well. Dalot took a rocket. I don't know if you saw that. A left-footed rocket in the second minute.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, right at the beginning.
Keeper had to tip it over. Followed by Garnacho missing. He did all the hard work in the box. Keeper stayed.
Yeah, it was a little over-dribbled, but yeah, it was a good run.
Yeah. So United were on top. Then we presented them a gift. They go ahead.
Yeah.
We come back with Bruno. They do the traditional goal, the most conspicuous goal United is the cutback.
The cutback, yeah.
Wan-Bissaka and Eriksen going down the line. They're looking at the guy. The guy cuts the ball, and there's no one at home in the middle, and they were ahead 2-1. Ari brings the ball back. VAR says it's a goal. Then the rest, we take it from there. Bruno scores another. Haaland scores Rasmus scores the fourth, and the rest is history. Now we have another relegated team, Burnley, at Old Trafford. Is it Old Trafford?
I believe so.
Yes, it's Old Trafford. But these days, it doesn't even matter home or away.
It is at Old Trafford, yes.
On paper, you would say, oh, 3 points, nice fixture.
Right.
I remember Bournemouth coming to Old Trafford before Christmas and giving us a 3-0 hiding. That's Bournemouth. When we played Bournemouth 3 weeks ago, they were so upset that they did not get 3 points. We played a 2-2 draw. They were upset because they said this team was there to be thrashed and we couldn't thrash us. That's Bournemouth. That's how we have dropped. But we have Burnley this Saturday. What's your take on the Burnley game?
Well, real quick, I'll just say in the Sheffield game, you said that we started well, and I disagree with you in that I thought we played the whole game well. I thought we played the whole game well. The two goals.
It was low block. We couldn't break down.
Both of them come off of horrendous mistakes, and I'm not saying that those were not mistakes and those were not. Those were huge mistakes. Mistake from Onana, Tries to play the ball, he plays it too short. It's easily taken. It goes back. That's a horrible mistake. The second ball, I think it was Casemiro loses it, and then Maguire and who else was in the middle? Can't remember. They don't really track the runners. They don't track the cutback. Like it's they didn't create anything from the open field the entire game. They didn't look overtly threatening at any point in time. They capitalized on mistakes extremely, extremely well. And, from a footballing sense, that's extremely commendable. Like, if they were going to win, that's probably how they were going to win, was like a smash and grab kind of thing like that. But we maintained the possession for the majority of the game. We had tons of shots on target. Their keeper did very, very well.
The game of his life.
He had some extremely good saves. It was a technically solid performance, and we scored 4 goals. Like, it's a good win. It's a good win at home. Now, that being said, these types of mistakes are going to continue to happen. Because of the crisis we have with the injuries, and the players that we have available are not good enough players for this level. So going in towards Burnley, I'm concerned, because Burnley is going to be way harder than Sheffield, in my opinion. Sheffield's the bottom of the league, so you just look at it like that, right? So, it's not cut and dry. It's not cut and dry. We want to say, on paper, we're Manchester United, we're 6th. What is Burnley? What are they even in the league?
Third to bottom.
Third to bottom, so they're 18th.
Yeah.
On paper, it should be. Well, no, not really, because who's starting? Who are our center backs? Casemiro. Who's
Casemiro and Maguire.
Who's you know what I mean? Like, who's in the midfield if Casemiro is not? Is it Mainu? Is it
Mainu,
is it
Eriksen, and Bruno.
Is it Eriksen again? That's not a good look.
No, it's not.
Mad respect, but man's time is come to an end. Is it McTominay?
No, McTominay coming as a substitute striker like he did against Sheffield United.
And that might be the best position for him. But we're at a position where we have no clue what our starting lineup is. We have no clue what our best 11 is.
No, we don't.
Not right now.
Not
right now. Our best 11 is down at the hospital.
Yeah, in the rehab center.
In the rehab center, wheeling around in the wheelchairs, and that's where our starting lineup is. So
100%.
It's not cut and dry, and it's not going to be pretty football. It's going to be smash mouth, nick a goal, hardcore counter, fast-paced football. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be ugly. No matter what, it's going to be ugly, and that helps out Burnley more. I don't think it necessarily.
They'll sit back as a low block.
Yeah, they'll sit back because they know we want to counter, and we can't. We don't have the pace, the patience, or the skill to break low blocks. We just don't. So yeah, it's going to bode well on them to try to sit back on us and let us have the ball and let us, give up bad crosses and bad long balls and try to hit us on the counter. And who do you have back there? Are they fast enough? I don't know. That being said, we should have the individual talent necessary to win the game. Is Rashford going to start? If he is, then yeah. You've talked a lot, my guy. Articles, retweets, put up or shut up.
Exactly.
Garnacho,
put up or shut up.
Garnacho apparently has a knock, so maybe he's playing limited minutes. If he comes on, is he starting over Anthony? I would like him to. If he starts, is he going to get actual goals? He's had a lot of chances. He's created some phenomenal chances. He's not putting them away. Not yet. There's a little composure issue. There's maybe a youth issue. Højlund is going to start. Who's giving him the ball? Are we giving him the ball? If we give him the ball, difficult there. Bruno, he's going to look for those wonder goals, because honestly, we need them. It was a brilliant goal against Sheffield. Got his head up. He's on the right-hand side, sees the goalkeepers to the left, curls it in near post. It was fantastic. It was phenomenal.
100%.
It was phenomenal. But again, he's not hitting those consistently either.
Right.
It's possible. If anything, optimistically, I'm gonna say maybe a 2-1.
2-1 United.
Yeah,
Right.
2.
We at this stage of the season, as United would take those 3 points and keep it moving as much as they can, and see as accumulate as many points as they come. I think they have Newcastle still to play. They have Arsenal still to play. They have Brighton still to play. So they have some crucial games coming up. And yes, as it stands, United, can they make top four? I think top four is gone. I think they're literally
No,
fighting for six.
top four is impossible. Honestly, I think fifth is almost impossible.
Yeah, they're
Fifth
about,
is what? What is like fifth? Like 8 points, 9 points?
yes, about that from with Spurs.
7 points. And Spurs still have to play Newcastle, Arsenal.
Ooh.
Oh, they still have to play Liverpool and City.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. They could
So
decide the title race.
maybe you
They
could
can
get
decide the title race. I know they will make sure Arsenal don't beat them at the lane. I know they'll do whatever they can to put a roadblock on Arsenal's
Arsenal needs
chances.
to win that game, man.
Huh?
Arsenal needs to win that game.
Yeah.
They really do. Would you say this though? Because, well, I don't know. It's difficult because, yeah, on paper you really could get fifth, or do you start rotating in those younger players, try to keep your best players as healthy as possible, and then just go to Wembley on the 25th and just say, to hell with it, let's go, and go try to win that one? Do you sacrifice points in the league to try to unlikely beat Manchester City over there? I mean, I'm a gambler. I probably would.
I mean, I would just say we have to see how many players are coming back. How many would we have enough of? Would they have enough game time? I mean, I'm talking experienced players, the Mounts, the Martinez. I don't know if these guys even play again this season, but we'll have to see who's coming back from the medical team, which I think needs a total overhaul. We see who's coming back, then we can start to plan. And would they make the team? Would they be on the bench at Wembley? Because it's a very big game. It's a big game. If City win the league, you want to stop them winning the double. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be. I think United will do better than they did last season. I think they will.
I think
I
so.
I
I
think
think so.
so.
I think they'll just play it smarter.
Yes.
I think they'll, I don't think, definitely don't put Ericsson in the midfield because that was his
Oh
first goal. He didn't track the player. He didn't
no, 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 no. So so in terms of Rashford, as a United fan, you've been a Rashford supporter. Are you telling him to move on? Are you telling him to keep his head down and keep fighting? Or are you saying you're not being abused, mate, you're just being criticized?
I think what he was talking about, he's just being criticized. But I think the reason that he's talking about it is because he's checked out mentally. I think he's had enough. But I am not in a position to make that decision for him as much as I'd like to. I'm basically offering him red pill, blue pill, you know? Red pill, you go for it and you try to save your Manchester career and the club essentially. Or blue pill, easy option, to hit the road. And I honestly wouldn't blame him for taking either option. I really wouldn't. I think
Right,
it makes sense for his career, to leave.
right,
I really do. But I mean, I would like to see him try to turn it around. I like Rashford. I've always liked Rashford.
right,
But no, you ain't performing. And I'm
right.
not abusing you by telling you you're not performing.
Exactly. So is that same mentality of when a player's underperforming, he needs to be told you are fucking up instead of
Yeah,
saying,
straight
you know
up.
what, you
Yeah.
have to tell him straight. I remember you remember those days when Real Madrid were not playing well and Ronaldo was not playing well, they brought the white flags out. This guy
Yeah.
don't give a shit. And that's a team that's won Champions Leagues, bro.
Yeah, go tell the Millwall players when they're fucking up and they're not scoring goals. Tell them what the people are chanting in the stands. Tell them that that's not abuse. Like, you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Tell them that
They chase their own players.
Mexico is the biggest example I always give, the Mexican national team.
Right.
If they so much as draw to a lower CONCACAF team that they should be winning,
Yeah.
it's like a pack of wolves in there. They will, you want to talk about abuse, they will make you bleed. Talking about, you know how your mama used to say, if you're gonna cry, I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the Mexico fans.
There you go.
Yeah, they're like,
So they
that's
have to grow a tougher skin and
yeah,
get on with it. And don't just cry baby out like, I'm looking for a routine. I can't say this abuse anymore.
The club
Beckham got abused. Cantona
Yeah.
got abused. Ronaldo got abused. Funny enough, all three of them were number 7.
The club has not done Rashford any favors because they've protected him from this abuse for so long, from this criticism. They've protected him from it for so long.
I remember the Lingard days when Lingard and Rashford were messing up, and the media were hanging out Pogba to dry.
Right.
And they kept, there was one journalist who said Pogba should be an example to them. And like, hang on, Lingard is older than Pogba. What the hell?
Lingard's older than Pogba.
They say, they don't criticize him so they don't get discouraged. Get the fuck out of here. Well, on that note, we'll end the show. Hopefully we could get a result tomorrow against Burnley and keep it moving. And yes, Louis, it's been an absolute pleasure joining us today on our Friday weekend show. It's all been in the media about Marcus Rashford. I've been abused. I've been criticized. Do I leave? Do I stay? The choice is yours. The fans are saying it as they see it. They just feel, Marcus, we love you, but you're just not cutting the mustard currently. From all of us, Louis, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you soon. When you come down to Houston?
Probably in the summer.
You're not coming for FA Cup final?
What's that?
FA Cup final? You're not coming down?
I have a tournament that weekend, so yeah, I can't leave. But yeah, I'll be watching. I'll be watching for sure.
All right. From all of us, glory,
and United, baby.
See you, love. See you later, brother. Take care, sir.
Always a pleasure, man.
Take care, bro. All right.